There is a silence that follows the collapse of delusiona, quiet, more honest than any prayer. It does not promise redemption. It does not soothe. It only reveals. And in that revelation, one no longer asks to be saved, but only to see clearly. That is where we begin. Not in striving, not in hope, but in the slow undoing of every lie we told ourselves in order to go on. The world teaches you to chase, not truth but substitute success, influence, self-improvement, love like currency, happiness like a product. You are taught to refine the illusion, not question it. You are given 1,000 ways to sharpen your hunger, but none to silence it. And so you run, thinking yourself progressing, when you are merely deepening the wound. Discipline is the altar of the modern soul. It is whispered as the cure to all affliction. You do not feel whole? Wake earlier. You cannot stop scrolling. Build a routine. You have no meaning? Grind harder. But no amount of discipline will save you from the hollowness of false desire. The will can be trained endlessly, but if it serves a lie, its strength only hastens your descent into madness. You do not need more discipline. You need more truth. You need the courage to see what you have spent your life avoiding, that your career cannot love you, that your reflection is not yourself, that your goals are not your liberation, that your pleasures are not peace, that happiness, as it is sold to you, is a mirage crafted by those who profit from your suffering. What do you truly seek? Not joy, not power, not even love. You seek an end to the hunger that gnaws beneath every achievement. You want rest, not success. But you are told that rest is laziness, that stillness is stagnation, that contentment is death. So you push forward, ever forward, unaware that the very act of striving is the continuation of pain. The will, left unexamined, becomes your master. It attaches itself to form, status, beauty, legacy, and tells you they are necessary. You obey, you sacrifice, you compare, you fail. You start again. And no matter how much you achieve, the hunger returns. Not because you are failing, but because you are succeeding in the wrong direction. Look around, look honestly, see how everything is shaped to keep you reaching. The advertisements that manufacture longing, the algorithms that monetize your attention, the gurus that promise transformation through discipline. The industries built not to heal you, but to make you dependent on healing. You are not broken. You are being broken systematically, repeatedly, because a restless soul is profitable. And yet the lie is seductive, because to believe it is to keep moving. To stand still, to stop reaching, is to feel the full weight of the void you carry. And that is unbearable until it isn't. Until you let the void speak. Until you no longer fear emptiness, but recognize it as the first honest thing in your life. There is a peculiar freedom in giving up the pursuit, not in despair, but in clarity, in seeing that what you called motivation was often just anxiety in disguise, that what you named ambition was a mask for your wound, that what you worshipped as progress was the will's own fever dream. You were not born to chase. You were born into a world already chasing, and you mistook the running for life. But life begins where the running ends, in the strange stillness of unfulfilled desire, in the sober recognition that nothing you can gain will quiet the hunger forever. What, then, remains? Not nothing, but not what you expected. There is no peace in detachment, only the absence of torment. What you mistake for beauty and stillness is merely the relief of no longer chasing shadows. And what you call love, stripped of illusion, is the longing of one finite being to momentarily forget its separateness. These are not achievements. They are what is revealed when you stop trying to become and finally allow yourself to be. But this is not the message of the world. The world will not reward your stillness. It will call it laziness, failure, irrelevance. Because your refusal to chase is a threat to everything built on endless pursuit. They need you to want. They need you to believe that discipline will save you, that more effort will redeem you. That one day, with enough sacrifice, you will arrive. But you never arrive, because there is nowhere to arrive to. Every finish line is a mirage that disappears the closer you come. Every milestone is a doorway into a deeper craving. This is the nature of the will. It feeds upon itself. It does not end through achievement. It ends only through understanding. And understanding begins in silence, in stopping, in sitting with the unbearable truth that you have been chasing a ghost and calling it life. Then listen, not with the ears trained by instruction, but with the stillness that arises when the last illusion begins to die. What you call suffering is not a mistake. It is the base material of existence, the background against which all things emerge. Pleasure flickers like a candle in the storm. Pain is the wind itself. It does not visit you as a punishment. It is your companion from the first breath. You are born through pain, grow in confusion, and age into decline. Yet the world insists on treating suffering as if it were optional, an anomaly to be corrected, rather than the foundation to be understood. They tell you to be positive, to reframe, to manifest, as though reality itself will bend before your will. But reality is unmoved. It does not care for your affirmations. The body still decays. The mind still frays. The people you love still leave. The things you cherish still vanish. And you are left, not with transformation, but with the silent wreckage of denied sorrow. You are told to be strong. But what is strength in a world so brittle? Muscles break, fortunes collapse, reputations dissolve in a whisper. Mental fortitude is praised until it buckles beneath grief. Strength, as they define it, is a Mython armor that cracks under the weight of honest awareness. To suffer consciously is not weakness. It is the first act of revolt against the lie. To feel pain without distraction, without anesthetic, is to finally meet life on its own terms. It is to stop pretending that joy is the destination, and to begin understanding that the path itself is carved in anguish. Love does not save you from this. It deepens the wound. For to love is to invite loss. To open the heart is to expose it to the knife. All attachment carries within it the seed of sorrow. The more you hold, the more you fear. The more you need, the more you ache. And yet, without love, life shrivels into isolation. So you love, not to escape suffering, but to suffer togetherness alone, but never untouched. Even meaning, that prized illusion of the modern soul, betrays you. You craft narratives, assign purpose, find reasons. You build religions out of coincidence. You call yourself a hero in a story you cannot control. But beneath it all lies the same silence, the same unanswered question, the same unfulfilled hunger. Meaning, too, is a comfort, a distraction, a way to render suffering tolerable. But truth does not promise meaning. It promises only clarity. And clarity is cold. It strips you of fantasy. It leaves you naked before the void. Do not flee it. Let the void speak. It says, you are not special. You are not chosen. You are not destined. You are a flicker of consciousness, caught for a moment in the machinery of time. The universe does not notice you. It spins without regard. Your joys are brief. Your name will be forgotten. Every empire crumbles. Every monument erodes. And strangely, in this revelation, something softens. For if nothing matters ultimately, then you are finally free to stop pretending, free to stop performing for some invisible judge, free to exist without justification. This is not nihilism. This is release. From the tyranny of becoming, from the anxiety of always being watched, from the cruelty of constant self-measurement. There is no need to be extraordinary, because even the ordinary is a performance. There is nothing to win, because every prize decays in your hands before you can hold it. You only need to see how your suffering connects you to all things, how the bird shivers in the wind as you do, how the tree loses its leaves as you lose your friends, how the river erodes the rock as time erodes your body. In suffering, you belong. And in that belonging, there is stillness, not happiness, not ecstasy, but a quiet that asks for nothing and fears nothing, a peace not of triumph, but of surrender. The culture you inhabit is not built to nourish you. It is engineered to exhaust you. Your value is measured not by the stillness of your mind, but by the speed of your output. You are not a being, you are a producer. Every waking hour is silently auctioned. Rest is rebranded as productivity recovery. Leisure becomes another opportunity to optimize. Even your pleasures are scheduled, tracked, marketed. You wake not into life, but into obligation, into the tyranny of the calendar, into the cold command of efficiency. To pause is to fall behind. To be quiet is to become invisible. And so, like a machine that fears rust, you keep moving, even when the movement has long ceased to carry meaning. They sell you freedom, but it arrives as fragmentation. Infinite choices mask the absence of direction. You are surrounded by voices, yet you cannot hear your own. Every moment offers stimulation, but none offer silence. It is not stimulation you crave, it is the absence of craving. This too they have stolen. The right to be still, the right to be bored, the right to be unknown. They replace it with spectacle, constant novelty, the endless scroll of images that promise fulfillment while delivering only fatigue. You are not entertained, you are distracted, and distraction is the new despair. You call it a life, but it is a fevered repetition of impulses, not your own stage without script, where pain plays all the parts. Every gesture, curated. Every opinion, pre-approved. Every word, weighed against rejection. Authenticity has been broken down into aesthetic. You wear your uniqueness like a costume, interchangeable, monetizable, empty. Even your rebellion is branded. And identity? It is no longer discovered, it is constructed. Layer by layer, like armor for a battlefield you did not choose. You are told to find yourself, but what you find are roles. The achiever, the lover, the healer, the thinker. You try them on, wear them until they chafe, then trade them for new ones. Never free, always becoming. But who is beneath all this? Who remains when the costume slips? No one you recognize, only the quiet witness, the one who has watched you try, watched you fail, watched you succeed and still feel empty. That watcher silent, unchanging, faceless is not what the world wants you to meet, because it cannot be sold to, cannot be flattered, cannot be coerced. It sees through everything, it names nothing. It wants nothing. To touch this witness is to begin the undoing. It does not tell you what to do. It does not tell you who you are. It only shows you that the one who suffers, the one who strives, the one who pretends is not you, not truly. Those are faces you wear, not the face you are. They belong to time. The witness belongs to stillness. Stillness is not inactivity. It is the absence of illusion. It is the place where the will dissolves, and with it, the weight of becoming. It is not peace in the way you were taught, no golden horizon, no transcendental bliss. It is peace as negation, the relief of not having to chase. But the world will not let you stay here long. It will call you back, whispering in the tongue of urgency. It will remind you of your obligations, your potential, your fear of being forgotten. You will return to the noise, but something will have shifted. The chase will seem quieter, the promises less seductive. And you will begin to see others differently, not as competitors, not as audience, but as fellow wanderers, equally burdened, equally lost. Their masks will seem heavier, their words more desperate. You will no longer envy them, you will grieve for them. Because once you have seen the stillness, all ambition becomes soft, all striving becomes transparent. You will work perhaps, but no longer as a way to justify your existence. You will speak, but without the need to be heard. You will live, but no longer perform. And this, they cannot sell you. They cannot teach you this truth in a seminar. They cannot capture it in a slogan. It is not a product, it is an ending. The ending of illusion, the ending of desire, the ending of self as spectacle. You walk now not toward success, but toward disappearance. Not toward happiness, but toward honesty. Not toward light, but toward clarity. Then let us fall further, into the deep and quiet places where even time seems to hesitate, where the soul, stripped of all its ornaments, faces the only truth that cannot be denied. You are going to die. Not as a metaphor, not as a catalyst for change, not as some poetic threshold into a brighter realm. You will die in the way that a flame dies, suddenly, silently, without ceremony. The breath will leave. The body will cool. The world will forget. You will not be missed for long, no matter how dearly you are loved. The machine continues. The river does not pause for a fallen leaf. This is not cruelty. This is the architecture of being. Time does not wound, it erases. What you are, what you think, what you dream, all of it dissolves. The names you wear, the things you built, the words you spoke, they do not last. Even memory betrays. The faces you loved blur with the decades. Even the pain that once defined you becomes a faint echo, eventually not even that. And still you act as though there is something to win, as though some grand culmination awaits. You accumulate moments like coins, forgetting that they cannot be spent where you are going. Your rituals, your legacies, your monuments of self-dust awaiting its hour. To live as though you will not die is to lie, but to live while holding death in your gaze is to finally live without pretense. The body is a slow collapse. It begins the moment you are born. You grow not into strength, but into the shape of your disintegration. Every cell that divides carries within it the code of ruin. Every pleasure is tinged with the knowledge of its own vanishing. Even beauty is a wound, it reminds you of what fades. You try to resist. You build regimes. You count calories. You take pills, you recite affirmations, but the body is not fooled. It knows. The joints begin to ache, the skin thins, the eyes dim, and one morning, without ceremony, you find yourself speaking of youth as though it were another life. They told you aging was natural, as if that makes it easier. But nature is indifferent. The tree loses its leaves and grows new ones, not because it grieves, but because it must. You, however, remember. You mourn what you lose, even as you still hold it. You suffer twice, once in the moment, and again in memory. And yet, beneath this slow erosion, there is a strange mercy, for death levels all. The powerful decay, the brilliant forget, the beautiful rot. The lonely and the beloved both return to earth, indistinguishable. Nothing you acquire exempts you. Death does not discriminate, it does not negotiate, it simply waits. To remember this is not to despair, it is to stop pretending. Mortality is not a flaw in the design, it is the design. It is the frame that renders everything bearable. If you were eternal, your suffering would stretch into madness. If you were unending, every mistake would be eternal. But because you are finite, you are free to let go, to release the illusion that you must be everything, know everything, achieve everything. The end is built into the beginning. This moment is already a loss. Even as you feel it, it slips away. You are not living, you are dying in slow motion. And that dying, if faced without panic, becomes a kind of clarity. What do you truly need, knowing this? Not fame. It fades. Not wealth. It scatters. Not admiration. It turns to silence. You need only to see clearly, for even a moment, without the fog of future thinking, without the veil of hope, without the hunger for more. That moment of pure seeing renders a lifetime of striving irrelevant, not by offering more, but by exposing that there was never anything to gain, because in it you are no longer deceived. You do not belong to the world. The world is what you pass through, what you brush against, what you leave behind. You are not its center, you are its witness. And the witness needs nothing, because it clings to nothing. Even now, you may feel the resistance. The will clings to its objects. It does not want to let go. It whispers, just one more goal, just one more love, just one more chance. It bargains. It pleads. But it is only the echo of habit. It does not speak truth. It speaks only continuation. To renounce that voice is not suicide, it is the slow starvation of the will that once deceived you into believing life could be conquered. Not the end of life, but the end of false life. The end of being driven. The end of becoming. The beginning of simply being. And to simply be is unbearable until it isn't. Until you arrive in the quiet field where even presence is hollow, merely the residue of a will that no longer burns, but still lingers in silence. Where watching the light fall across a wall is a kind of salvation. This is not something to strive for. It cannot be reached through effort. It arises when the effort ceases, when the will collapses, when the ego, bruised and exhausted, finally rests. And in that rest, you do not become real, you merely cease pretending that there was ever something real to become. The self is not real, not in the way you think. It is not a solid core, not a soul with a signature. It is a ripple, a residue, an arrangement of memories mistaken for substance. You build it from fragments, what others say, what you survive, what you want to believe. You call it I, and spend your life defending it, feeding it, mourning its imperfections. But if you look closely, it vanishes. It cannot be found. There is no fixed center, no unchanging core. Only thoughts, sensations, and the silent awareness in which they pass like clouds. The I you protect is just a story told by the will to justify its hunger. It is not who you are. It is who you think you must be, in order to be loved, seen, safe. And yet, the illusion is persistent. Because it hurts to dissolve, it feels like death. To let go of identity is to relinquish control, to admit that you were never truly the author, only the page upon which the writing appeared. You want to be the subject, but you are the unfolding. The consequence. The echo. This is why language fails you. It sharpens boundaries that do not exist. It divides what is indivisible. It makes you a noun when you are a verb. Every word is a limitation. Every sentence is a cage. Truth does not live in syllables, it lives in silence. And the deeper the truth, the quieter it becomes. You were taught to speak to be heard. But what if speaking is the act of veiling? What if every explanation pulls you further from the center? What if the need to be understood is the very thing that keeps you from understanding? To sit in silence is to watch the self unravel, to let go of narrative, to dissolve into observation, not the cold gaze of analysis, but the intimate attention of a presence that does not interfere. Observe your breath not to control it, but to witness its simplicity. Observe your thoughts not to correct them, but to see how they rise and vanish, without origin, without ownership. Observe your pain not to heal it, but to see how it persists only when resisted. This observation is not a technique, it is a return, not to some original purity, but to the place before you began pretending. In this place, you are not a role, not a name, not even a mind. You are the space in which the world appears. You are what remains when striving ends. But the world does not want this from you. It does not want you quiet. It wants you loud, visible, active, consumable. It cannot monetize your silence. It cannot brand your stillness. And so, it will mock it, pathologize it, try to fix it, as if presence were a sickness. You will be told you are missing out, that you are falling behind, that you are wasting your potential. But what is potential, except the dream of becoming someone you are not? What is falling behind, except refusal to join the madness? You are not missing anything because nothing was ever truly there. What you seek beneath the noise is not peace, but the echo of your own vanished delusions. It is not found in more, it is found in less. Less identity, less desire, less noise, and the less you carry, the more clearly you can see. But seeing is not safe. It is not comforting. It strips you. It leaves you exposed. It reveals that you have always been alone, and that this aloneness is not loneliness, but truth. The truth that no one can walk with you into the silence, that no one else can let go for you, that no one can see what only your eyes were meant to see. And what is that sight? A world not full of meaning, but full of being. Trees that do not ask why they are trees. Winds that do not explain themselves. Light that falls without purpose. A world that is, without need to justify its isness. You are not apart from it. You are not above it. You are it. And when this is seen not as concept, but as direct experience, the suffering does not vanish. It no longer needs to. It becomes part of the whole. It is no longer something to escape. It is simply part of what is. You will suffer, but you will no longer believe that this suffering is a punishment, or a failure, or something to overcome. It is simply the taste of existence, bitter and real. And in that bitter taste, there is no grace, only the cold clarity that this, too, is all there ever was. You are told that life must be made meaningful, that the point is to do, to build, to create something that lasts. As if your presence here is a problem to be solved, as if your disappearance must be compensated for by the noise you make before you go. But permanence is not within your grasp. The world does not ask to be remembered by you, and it does not offer remembrance in return. You reach toward legacy like a drowning man reaches toward a shadow. You call it purpose, but it is only fear, the fear of vanishing without echo. But every echo fades, every monument falls. The earth itself forgets. The future is not yours, and the past, no matter how gilded, offers no shelter from the cold certainty of being. So what is left, if not meaning? What remains when you are no longer trying to justify your own breath? Only the breath itself. Not as a symbol, not as a metaphor, but as the one act that does not ask why. It happens, it leaves, it returns, it does not explain. And that is the next layer of insight, that life is not a puzzle, it is a rhythm, a pulse, a flicker of light through moving branches. It is the sound of wind passing through a room. It is not about you, and never was. You are not the center. You are the silence in which the center dissolves. This truth will not make you feel triumphant. It will not fill you with joy. It will not lift your heart or brighten your future. It will flatten you. It will empty you. And in that emptiness, there will be peace, not the peace of comfort, but the peace of no longer needing comfort. You will stop asking, what should I do? You will stop asking, who should I become? You will stop asking, why is this happening to me? Those questions do not lead to clarity. They lead to more self, more will, more becoming. Instead, you will begin to observe. You will watch your own longing and not act on it. You will hear your own voice and know it is just another sound. You will feel your own pain and not resist it. You will see the world move without your control and it will not terrify you, because you will see that you were never in control. You were only clinging. And to release that clinging is not to fall, but to land. To land, finally, in the moment you have always avoided, the moment of stillness. This stillness is not an end, it is not a solution, it is simply what was always here, waiting beneath your strategies, your striving, your disguises. And you may weep when you see it, not out of sadness, not out of relief, but because it has waited for so long, because it was always there, because everything you sought was just a movement away from what already was. This is not awakening, it is not enlightenment, it is not some higher state, it is lower, quieter, closer to the ground. It is the taste of dust, it is the sound of your own breath in an empty room. It is the recognition that nothing more is coming and nothing more is needed. The will has no interest in peace. It feeds on friction, on longing, on the ache of what has not yet been. It wears 1,000 masks: ambition, lust, purpose, redemption, but each conceals the same engine, the demand for more. It does not rest. It does not wait. It pushes, devours, repeats. And all it ever achieves is its own continuation. To extinguish the will is not to destroy yourself. It is to stop mistaking yourself for the hunger that moves through you. The will is not you. It is the fever. You are the one who watches it burn. But what is left when it dies? Not happiness. Happiness was always part of the illusion, a flicker of warmth used to justify the cold machinery of desire. When the will dies, happiness does not arrive. Instead, there is absence. Not void, not nihilism, just the end of pressure, the end of motion, the end of pretending that life must become something it is not. This is not a transcendence that lifts you up. It is a gravity that returns you to the ground. It humbles every dream. It silences every anthem. It strips every philosophy of its clothing, until all that remains is the raw fact of being. You exist, and that is enough. Not because it is beautiful, not because it is meaningful, but because there is nothing else. To ask why is to miss it. To seek a point is to obscure it. The point is that there is no point. And in that, the search dies. And when the search dies, you die. Not biologically, but the you that was constructed, that hoped, that feared, that tried to bend reality toward its fantasies, that you dissolves. You become no one. And in that erasure, even the impulse to resist dissolves not in peace, but in the collapse of all illusion that there was ever something to resist. There is no triumph in this, no chorus of angels, no cosmic nod of approval, just the quiet, just the trees, just the breath. And even that, in time, will go. So let it go. Let all of it go. Let go of becoming. Let go of being seen. Let go of the wound you thought you had to heal. Let go of the love you were taught you had to earn. Let go of the future. Let go of the past. Let go of the need for it all to mean something more than it does. Let go of the self that clings to life as if it belonged to you. There is no enlightenment. There is only release. Release from the drama, release from the chase, release from the name you carried like a burden, release from the illusion that this must add up to anything more than this. You were here, that is all. You suffered. That was inevitable. You saw through it, and in that vision, you were stripped of even the illusion of hope. Now let the breath fade. Let the eyes close. Let the self fall like ash from a burned page. Discipline will not save you, nor will truth. But in seeing clearly, even salvation loses its appeal. There is no rescue, only release. And the truth is that nothing more is coming. Nothing more is needed. Now be still.